Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Euzoia. And this week we are moving on to the environment. But before we jump into that, Christoph, any changes you made since last week? Any updates from last week?
I switched off my WhatsApp notifications and they stayed off. I wasn't sure. If that will work, but I'm actually super happy with it. I check my phone less. I so far didn't miss something super essential. I'll still go through. So I would recommend to others to do the same. How about you?
Nice. Yeah, for me, actually, I tried I think it was impulse delay. So I wrote a list of everything that I wanted to buy. I have been thinking about buying. Now I'm just like looking at the list and being like, do I really need this? Do I really need that? So
That's
um,
amazing.
I think it's quite cool because I think there are some things that like definitely unnecessary, and we'll see if I'm gonna check back next week. Let's see if I still want them and I buy them. But
I'll hold you accountable.
amazing. And yeah, do you want to talk about this week's topic of environment?
Sure. So environment is not meant as the I guess could also be it, but like not like environment as in climate change, but more like environment as in the stuff around you or just like your home. And yeah, we're gonna split this in five things again. And this one is gonna be around the idea of what we call like designing for lazy. And that's based in studies that have been published like I guess like 10 years ago or something, where they looked at people. Basically, they gave them blackberries because blackberries were the cool things back then. And they were looking and it just pinged them all the time. It's like, okay, like, what are you doing right now? What are you doing right now? What are you doing right now? And kind of try to, like, one thing they measured was willpower, right? Like when do they exert willpower and how does it relate to kind of how they go through their day? And one thing that came out of it was that the people who kind of have most self-control aren't the ones who just exert willpower all the time, but are the ones who just don't have many temptations in their lives. So there's might sound like a very dull life. I think you can have a life without a lot of temptations without it being super dull. But the whole idea is like don't make it hard for yourself, right? Like try to design your home, your environment in a way that where it's just super easy to do the right thing and hard to do the wrong thing. And yeah, in this episode, we just want to explore a little bit what are different things you can do to make it easier to do the right thing.
Amazing. Yeah, that reminds me of the book I read a long time ago, Atomic Habits. And I think like one of the most basic things in that was like, if you want to learn guitar, put your guitar in like the center of your room or like the center of your living room. You will just pick it up and play it more. So I really like this topic. I'm super fascinated to hear what the research says and yeah, dive deeper into it.
Right. Yeah, let's actually maybe start right at this area. One is, well, just lower the barriers for doing the stuff that you want to do, right? Like put them in your visual field, like your guitar. For me, it's my violin. I noticed I have it hidden right now behind the piano. So I think if I'll put it in a more exposed part of the room, maybe I'll practice more. It has to be children safe as well, though. So there's some trade-offs going on there. So one of this, just make it front and center, right? Like one is also creating like dedicated zones, like maybe you have like a zone where you only work or only sleep or only chill or only do whatever, and then like it's more difficult to get distracted, right? Like if you do everything from your bed, for example, then it'll be much easier to do all kinds of things at the same time. And like the one more thing I put down is often like to plan for the low willpower, right? Like so often you'll be on the couch and you just want to swipe whatever. If you then have a list of things like visible or no, that's like, okay, like when I'm in the state, like these are things I actually enjoy and like let's try those instead. This can be an easy way to again like lower the barrier. The idea there is the barrier is to having to think of something and you kind of lower it by just writing it down. For example, you could write on the maybe just like go for a walk instead or listen to some music instead of swiping or whatever is something that regenerates your energy instead of taking it.
Yeah. I like on a meta level, just make the things you want to do easier and make the things you don't want to do harder. And like, I think if you just do both of those things, you're going to do more of the things that you
Yeah,
want to do.
100%.
I had a friend who he would sleep in his gym outfit and like put his gym shoes by the door. And then like, as soon as he got out of bed, he was like, right, I'm ready to go to the gym right away. So I thought that was quite it's kind of an extreme example, but you know, it seemed to work for him. So
Yeah, I think what you mentioned there, make the things you want easier and the things you don't want harder, is like exactly the idea, right? Like the we can talk a bit more about the make things you don't want harder. I think the easiest, biggest impact there is just buy your groceries online when you're not hungry. Right? Like have stuff in the house that you actually want to eat and don't have the stuff in the house that you don't want to eat. And if you want to have like stuff that you want to eat, sometimes maybe put it somewhere where it's like hard to find and to reach. Um, the other one is like the device usage blocking. We talked about this before, right? But basically like installing apps that just make it really hard to instinctively just go to them. I've seen people recommend that you just unplug the TV or projector or whatever you have whenever you don't use it. So it's just like a tad harder to set it all up again. And then if you really want to do it, like it's fine. We used to use like just watch from a like more intricate setup here. And we used to not watch that much. And then I brought a projector and now we use a projector and it's just so much easier. So like works still. And yeah, I think those are probably the easiest ones there.
Yeah. I was just gonna say it's really interesting how I feel like even the room design can affect this. Like if you have all your living room stuff like pointed at a TV, you're probably gonna watch a lot of TV. It's interesting with the projector because we have a projector and no TV, and I find we don't use it that often because it's kind of a pain to move on my laptop, unplug it from where I have it here, plug it in, set everything up, turn on the speakers, Bluetooth the speakers. I
So it
think it's
used to be a bit like this, and now
yeah,
I just put in a Chromecast. So you switch on the Chromecast, it automatically switches on the projector. You have everything there. It's like
yeah.
that's the problem. If we would have to use the laptop, I think it would add the friction you actually need. So maybe I just remove the Chromecast again.
It's funny how much these like things affect your like day to day, and it just makes me think about like being deliberate and like you know, setting things up in a deliberate way where you actually make it harder for these things, and it's a bit counterintuitive, but
It's silly. Like you don't want to be like this, right? Like I don't want that like having a Chromecast on my projector affects like how much I watch, but like somehow it does. It's we're all just humans or monkeys, I guess.
I think it really shows how much we actually are, I don't want to say like based or like, susceptible to these things, but yeah, I mean, even the most disciplined of people, your environment is really going to affect.
Yeah. That's what these studies said, right? Like it's not about
Mm.
like how disciplined and willpowered you are, but just how you set it up. Like just imagine like you would have to be like this willpowered person. It would just be a miserable life, right? Just like white knuckling your way through everything all the time. It just doesn't sound very pleasant. Yeah, the last thing I put here, which it doesn't, it's only like half related to all this, but I feel like it's just the biggest hack there is. And that is to live with friends or with people you love or close to them at least. Like there's a study that if you live within walking distance, like so like within a kilometer of friends or happy people, that you're 40% more likely to be happy. And like this effect is like only 20% is 2 kilometers, and after 3 kilometers it's just gone. And it's like
Mm.
I think it was a pretty big study.
Mm.
And the smallest, of course, is if you just don't have the kilometer between you, but like a few meters, and then you just bump into each other all the time and have like free social interactions. And we're gonna get into this like way later, but there's
Mhm.
so much data that like your social life is just the biggest predictor of your happiness in life. Like way after your, I don't know, like how often you go to the gym and if you plug or unplug your
Mm.
Chromecast in your projector. Like having friends around you all the time just massively boosts your happiness. And of course, it's not all without issues. So maybe not everybody will want to live directly with people, right? Maybe there's like too much tension then, but like at least make sure you're close to your friends or befriend your neighbors. Lots of options. But in terms of designing for lazy, making sure that you don't have to reach out to people in order to see them is a massive hack for happiness and life satisfaction.
Yeah, it makes me wonder also about how much your friends affect like who you are, and if you want to be like a certain type of person. I think spending more time with people like that it can help as well. So I'm curious if that has any effect. But on the happiness front, it seems like a no brainer with friends and yeah,
Yeah.
living with them.
All right. Well, I think that's it for optimizing for a lazy life. If you want to try that right now, I think the easiest thing to do is just look around your house. If you're not at home right now, like do a little mental tour. Like what is like most tempting? Like is there a way to make it less tempting? Can you kind of unplug your projector or put your sweets somewhere else or just don't order them in the first place? And then maybe journal about or think about like if you don't live close to friends right now, like what would it be like? Or like what would it take? Right? Of course, like a random podcast is not going to make you move house. It's like entertain the thoughts. No, maybe there's like easy ways to get social life like much less overhead.
Amazing. Actually, one random anecdote this reminded me of, me and my partner, we, I guess, control each other's like treats. So for me, I love candy. So if I ever have candy, I give it to her and I say like, okay, you be the portion control. That way I don't have access to it. So that one is a good hack as well.
I love that. I think we just encourage each other to eat more candy. So like maybe we should try 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 that instead.
Yeah, you
I
need you
love it.
need a third person to control both of you, maybe. Okay, awesome. Well, thanks so much for listening, everyone. And then, Christoph, do you know the topic for next week?
I should. Yes, I do. Commute. It's going to be all about your distance to work, how to make it shorter, how to make it more enjoyable, because it is a big influence on people's happiness. So we'll dedicate a podcast to it.
Amazing. Okay, awesome. Well, we will see you next week for commute. Okay, bye.
Perfect. Bye.